Yo guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'm finally bringing you guys the Lady Nifle build. A lot of you guys have been asking me pretty much every day on stream. I get asked, is the Lady Nifle build up? When can we get Lady Nifle? So here she is. She's only Intron 0, like just the base copy. We have her at level 70, and then we also have a couple demon wedges on her. So this is kind of like just our very first initial build on her. And then like all our other builds in the future, we will update them with a fully Intron 6 character, as well as once we have fully gone and built them out. But this, for the most part, can clear level 70, 80 content. I can even clear level 100 enemies with it. It is just a little bit slower and you kind of run out of sanity, but we can kill level 100 enemies with it. So she does do a truck ton of damage, which is really cool because I do like her gameplay. She's like one of the coolest looking characters. Got this whole like Dead Bride vibe going about it. So I really do enjoy her, and I can't wait to see what actually happens once we max out her introns, because she does have some pretty interesting introns that will just boost her damage by a massive amount on top of the ton of damage that she already does. So without further ado, let's hop into the build and I'll show you guys the demon wedges. Looking at the wedges, we are rocking Griffin Skyrim Wildfire just because this one is so good. It gives us Lumino attack, skill damage, and skill range. And then she has her ability when she goes into her big ultimate, her range will actually be consumed, and then she'll get extra skill damage, I believe it was. We'll go look at her skills in a second. So a little bit of range on her is not going to hurt either, because it's going to give you some boost to her damage. Plus, will just increase your overall range as well. And then Prime Morale. This one is pretty much used on any character that we're using as damage, because what you do is you run Prime Morale on the main character, you run Prime Serenity on one of your ults, and you also run Prime Uplift on another one of your ults. You can see you get damage dealt by you and your teammates by 11%, so that's why you have it on an ult. And then with Serenity, you get an additional 7 sanity every 3 seconds, so that gives you 10 sanity regen every 3 seconds, and that does count on your ult, so pretty much your 2 supports that you'll be running with your character. And these unfortunately don't stack, so you just need one of them. That's why you just run Uplift on one support, Serenity on one support, and then the Prime Morale is what you run on your main DPS, because morale is just a nice little boost to damage when you are at full HP, which you pretty much will be all the time. And then moving on, we have Nirvana Volition over here for some HP as well as skill damage. Mainly we're just using that for the skill damage boost, because there's not that many good skill damage boosting mods as a Lumino character. There's a ton of attack boosting mods. As you can see, these Scorches, we have 3 Scorches on here. I actually plan to put a 4th Scorch on there, just boosting our Lumino attack like through the roof. But we don't really have much options for skill damage on Lumino, so that's why we are running this Nirvana Volition. Maybe we end up with another Volition over there, just to kind of balance out the skill damage versus the Lumino attack, because you don't want to like put all your eggs in one basket. You want to get a good mix of the two, because they kind of feed into each other for damage. And then that Blaze mod over there is literally just a placeholder for another Scorch, or like I said, a Volition, just because we don't have enough tolerance right now to go ahead and upgrade that. And then this mod over here is up for debate if we want to keep the wings inspo, or maybe just switch over to a flat wings for the increased sanity, because currently I can do about 2 to 3 of my ults before I run out of sanity. And when we are in our ult, our E skill doesn't really cost anything, so actually maybe I should switch this over to wings. Let's go see how much efficiency we actually lose. So 12% efficiency. Let's have a look at our skill. This is the main one we're trying to reduce. That's going to cost us 106. That means we'll get about 2 casts of it at the moment. And then if we drop this and we just go straight for wings, so it's going to boost our sanity. You can see that from 234 to 270. Now let's go look at the efficiency. It was 106 before. Now it is actually 120. So we'll get about the same return on it. So it really doesn't matter if you run wings over there or if you run the wings inspo for a little bit of efficiency. So the whole thing with her is you don't really need efficiency, because with the Misty Sea Requiem, her ultimate, when you go ahead and hit this, your next 6 casts of your Lunar Hunt are going to be free. And also rotate between Lunar Hunt and Solar Eclipse, because when you hit Lunar Hunt, the skill changes into Solar Eclipse, and then once you hit Solar Eclipse, it changes back to Lunar Hunt. So pretty much when you activate her Misty Sea Requiem, you get to spam out 3 Lunar Hunts and 3 Solar Eclipses. Lunar Hunts, when you have the ultimate up, is going to group all the enemies together. That's quite a nice little grouping tool. And then when you hit it again, Solar Eclipse is going to do a massive amount of damage. If we have a look there at the Solar Eclipse damage percentage, you get a 10,400 multiplier, so she hits like a truck when you pull it in together. So the flow is really just activate Misty Sea Requiem and then hit one E. It's going to pull them all together. Hit another E, which is going to hit Solar Eclipse and just delete everything. And then you move around a little bit, hit another E to pull everything together. Another Solar Eclipse, delete everything again. And you have one more combo left. Just keep in mind, this also does have a duration of 12 seconds. So if you take longer than that to hit your 6 abilities, then they will start costing sanity. So the main loop of the gameplay really is to stay inside your Misty Sea Requiem when you are doing the abilities. And then when you kill enemies inside Misty Sea, you should get sanity back to restore this. So you can pretty much have 2 casts of this in your pocket. But if you are killing enemies, it's going to restore your sanity, and then you can just activate your Misty Sea Requiem again, and you can just go Lunar Hunt and Solar Eclipse and smash things into the ground with all the damage that she does. And then her passive here is also pretty good based on the user's trigger probability for ranged weapons, casting Lunar Hunt as a chance to also spawn a Solar Eclipse at the same location, which in turn may spawn another Lunar Hunt because they kind of, bounce back and forth between each other. You can see there our effective trigger probability. We get 42% of our ranged weapons trigger probability, and that's where her ranged weapon comes into play. We are using the Entropic Singularity, and if you have a look at our trigger probability, we're at 100%. So we're pretty much getting 42% chance to double proc the solar and the lunar eclipses to just do damage and suck everything together. And this weapon is also pretty decent at doing damage. It does knock around all the enemies, so it's kind of annoying sometimes. The main is building trigger probability, multi-shot, as well as crit damage and crit chance. So with range trammel, it's crit damage trigger prob. With this, it's just flat trigger prob. And then we have crit chance over there with the focus, crit damage with the rage, and then impetus is just boosting the actual damage. So the slash attack is going up. And then we have the hunt over here for the increased multi-shot stacking. This is going to give us another 50 multi-shot. So this true multi-shot is going to go to 2.1. So we'll be shooting quite a bit of projectiles, especially with the weapon special effect also triggering extra projectiles. So at times you'll be shooting like 3 to 4 projectiles at once. That's really fun. And then we have impetus there just for a little bit of attack and crit chance, and then fold over for the flat 60 multi-shot. Now this one we might actually change out for another mod somewhere over here. Maybe actually the speed boost, because the projectiles are a little bit slow sometimes. So I could definitely see us changing that over once we have enough materials to go ahead and actually put a slot on that one. But ultimately, I think the best weapon for her would probably be this bow right here. It does give you increased range. So then when you activate your Q, it's going to give you increased damage because it sucks your range into damage. But the cool thing about this is while charging a weapon, gradually locks onto nearby enemies. Upon release, fires tracking arrows at all locked targets. When a Lumino character deals skill damage, grants 35% skill damage for 6 seconds. So we'll be getting a massive 35% skill damage bonus because she is a Lumino character. Plus we're getting a little bit of skill power from the skill range because of the ultimate sucking it up. And then this weapon goes ahead and locks onto enemies, and also has a decent amount of trigger probability at 30% at base. And we can go ahead and boost that to the moon with some extra mods and stuff. So once we can actually unlock this bow, we'll probably do our updated build then. And then ultimately, I think this is what's going to be the best weapon for her. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get it for this week. But if you guys are playing Lady Nifle as like your main, if she's your favorite character, I'd highly suggest going for this bow on the weekly boss rotations. Make sure you are getting it because it's just super busted on her and it's just auto aim. So why not? Really fun bow, increasing her damage by quite a bit. So I can't wait to actually grab this and then have my Lady Nifle built out even stronger. And then lastly, for the melee weapon, to nobody's surprise, we are using the Wainwraith again, just for a massive amount of skill damage boost. We do have ours at Smelt level 3. I would go higher, but it's just so expensive to go ahead and unlock weapons. Once you max this out at Smelt 5, I think it's a 48% skill damage boost. Plus we just don't use the melee weapon on her anyway, so we use this as a stat stick. And now let's talk about supports I choose to run with her. So what my team is, I basically just made a full Lumino team. We are using LISBELL. The only really important demon wedge to run on her is to make sure that, I told you guys before, is make sure you have Uplift on one of these supports and then Serenity on another support. Obviously, if I'm playing by Elizabeth for myself, then I'll go ahead and change this over to Morale. But since we're just using her as a support for our Lumino team, and the reason we chose to use LISBELL is because of this passive right here. Increases attack for self and Lumino allies, getting a nice 40% attack boost there on Lumino allies, which will be our Lady Nifle. Plus she just does a good amount of damage in herself. The AI is not too bad, and she works really well with Lady Nifle when you group all the enemies up together. As you guys can see in the footage, I'm grouping them up, and then LISBELL is actually running around there just doing quite a bit of damage herself. My LISBELL is only level 60, so I still need to level her up and buff all of her skills and things, but she does a decent amount of damage. Plus she's also buffing our Lady Nifle. And then our other support we choose to use is Truffle and Felbert. I just really like Truffle because he does a massive damage boost at 61%. Plus it also gives us a little bit of heals, but you can really use whoever you want as your third support, just your damage buffing support, either Truffle, and then I could also recommend maybe Margie. Margie's going to end up giving you 85% increased attack if you have both of these passives unlocked down below. And for the mods on Truffle and Felbert or any support, you just want to try and get as much duration as you can, a little bit of sanity boost, and then also whatever scales their stat. So in my case, Truffle actually scales with HP. So that's why we have gone ahead and got some HP mods over there. An easy way to tell what they scale with, just go to skills. If You click on the skills, you go to attribute details, you can see there the healing scales with maximum HP. That damage over there is just for when you're traveling on the pig, so it doesn't really matter. The main thing over there is the healing, the damage boost. I don't think we can actually buff that on her. If we come over to Daphne and you look at her stuff, I think her buff scales with attack. You can see, yeah, there her healing scales with attack. So in Daphne's situation, I want to be building like attack boost as well as duration, obviously, and then maximum sanity. But that's going to be it for the Lady Nifle build. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you did like the video and it helped you out at all, please drop a like and a sub to the channel. Helps me out so much. Thank you guys so much for all the massive support on Duet. We have just hit 15k subs. Appreciate all your beautiful faces, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the